Hello, welcome to this week's Office Hours. My name is Elizabeth Postol. I am Boris FX product specialist, and today we are going to be talking about some compositing tips and tricks inside After Effects, about Mocha, of course, and how it helps us in our everyday VFX life. So, before we jump in, let me quickly remind you that if you're watching us on YouTube, you have a chat and you can feel free to ask as many questions as you want. I'm here for you for a whole hour, so take this advantages to ask your questions. And this is something new. In case you want to ask your questions by voice, now you can see this little QR code at the bottom of your screen. So you can scan that with your phone, and this will lead you to our Discord server. So you can join and ask your questions, just say hello to me or any other team members at Boris FX. So this is another great way to just stay in touch. Okay, that was the introduction. Let me now explain what we're gonna be doing for the next hour. So it is still winter outside, so I thought, why not to take some shots that has some snow in it? So let's imagine that you have received a shot from your client that has, and your task for this shot is to either add something to your shot or to clean up something in the background. Doesn't really matter. But the problem with the shot is that it was shot in some weather conditions. So it might have snow, it might have rain, or maybe some kind of dust, or even like, I don't know, waterfall or water fountain. So any shot that has some water particles and that's overcrossing your main object. So you cannot simply put a patch on the top of that object, because then it would be obvious that particles isn't moving there and something isn't right. And the good VFX is the VFX that you cannot see. So today I'm going to be showing you a technique that will help you to produce this kind of shots. Let's jump into After Effects. Okay, I hope you can see and hear everything well. We will start with the basics. So we have a shot that has some snow in it, and the first technique that I would show you is how we can actually remove that snow. We gotta make sure that our camera is static, and to actually remove that snow, we gonna search for sapphire time average effect. This is an important step. Before you apply any of the sapphire time effects, you gotta make sure that your playhead is located on the first frame of your composition, and also really nice, like great behavior just to clear your cache before you apply that effect. So whenever you apply it, it might look like nothing has happened, but let's try to play it back. You might see that snow become literally like this is before, and this is if we apply sapphire time average. So basically what it's doing, it's averaging the amount of frames that we have set in the settings. So now it is set to 10, and if I try to make this number bigger, let's say for example like 40, and play it, we need to clear our cache again. Let's play it back. And magically, all of our snowflakes are gone. So whenever I first saw this technique, I thought this is some kind of magic, but no, this is literally just mathematics. After Effects just averages of the frame, and that helps us to reduce all of the particles. Okay, so to reduce the computing powers and to not redo this recalculation every time, I would just save this clean plate as a separate file on my PC, and we'll have that already saved. So I go to Composition, save frame as file, and I would save that as PNG. So I have folder named frames, and I would save all my frame holes for this stream here. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at the chat at the same moment and show you this kind of stuff. Okay, our file has been saved. And now we can get rid of the time average, so it won't be recalculating every time. And I will just import that frame back. Okay, the first step is done. Now we have our clean plates and we have our original footage. How does it actually helps us? So every time you have particles in your shot, you have to treat it the same way as you usually work with the grain. So if you have a grainy shot, what you tend to do, you first degrain it, then you do the comp, and then you restore the grain back again. So the same technique we will be doing for this type of shot. Let me import like just a random image for the demo. Like let it be the Boris FX logo. Okay, so we want to put original snow back over this logo. What we're gonna do? I first would hide it, and in order to retain the snow, we should literally minus the snow from our original source. How to do that? We have a blending mode that is called difference. So if I would turn on difference mode over my main source, look what will happen. Where is the difference? Difference. Okay. And magically, we only left with the snow. So now we have like footage with the snow, we have footage without the snow, and our logo in between. I would duplicate my original background layer just to have it as a copy. And now whenever I have this small snow footage, I would put that inside the pre-comp and call that snow only. Great. So I would turn my source footage back. And basically, I can turn now my logo. And if I turn the blending mode to screen on our topest layer, and the topest layer is snow only, we basically would have our snow back over the logo. So let's just compare that to what we have originally. I would make a snapshot inside After Effects. And you can see that almost all the particles are being restored. So we don't have to look at any like stock footages and to kind of find a similar one, because we literally can restore the original one. Okay, that was the basics. Let's just switch to a more harder shot. So this one has much more intense snowfall, and the sapphire average won't be the best choice for it. This is the first thing we need to remember. And the second one is that it might look like this shot is static, and the technique only works on static shots, but we will discuss that a little bit later, how to avoid that. So it looks like it is static, but if I scrap it backwards, really fast, backwards and forwards, you can see that the camera actually is moving. So this is actually the moment where Mocha will help us to fix this problem. So we don't really need to stabilize all the shots in case we wanna put something over this building. So I would apply Mocha, and I would stabilize only the region that I'm interested in. So you should be aware of how basics of tracking in Mocha is working. So I hope so. So I just draw a simple shape around this building, and let's have a track at least somewhere in the middle, because the shot is really long. We won't need that as a full length. Okay. So we have around 200 frames. I think it should be enough for the moment. Okay. I would expand my surface tool on the frame number 1. And I would export the track as After Effects CC Power Pin and make sure that invert is checked on. By turning it on, I would have my corner pin work as a stabilization, which will take into account only the region around the building. Copy to clipboard and close Mocha. Now I hit Ctrl V and I applied corner pin to my source and let's play it back. Now our shot should be like 100% locked. I would crop my timeline around frame 200 because we don't need the rest. Trim to comp. Alright, so now we are ready for removing the snow. But why did I set that time average won't be the best for this one? Because basically what it does, it averages the frame and also the brightness. The snowfall in this particular shot is really heavy, which will means when we average all of the frames, it will become brighter, and we don't really want that. I mean, we could try that, but that will mean that later we would need to reduce the brightness and contrast to tweak it a little bit. So for this specific one, instead of averaging, I would search for a effect that is called echo. It works kind of similar but a bit different. You will see. Immediately whenever I applied it, you see that something is happening, and that's totally not that we wanted. But if I change the echo operator to the minimum and start to play back shots again, you should see that we have much less snow. So it has kind of similar controls as the time average, but we need to tweak number of echoes. So let's firstly set up that maybe like 20. And that works much better. So why doesn't it say it doesn't work in the first frame? Because it actually needs some frames to be plus one over the another, and then it can rebuild our original like clean plate without the snow. So 20 works fine, but let's just, for the sake of interest, try to set it up like maybe 40. Well, I think we kind of reached the limits where this, like adding more echoes doesn't really makes much more sense, so I would leave that as a 40. And let's just compare how the result would be different if in case we would still use Sapphire time average. So just to compare two of the similar effects, I would clear my cache again and set up average frames 40. Play it back. Nope, seems that there was some glitch on After Effects. Clear my cache again. No, unfortunately, seems that After Effects... Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. I should have been set that in a pre-comp. Yeah, I forgot about that. Pre-comp, move all attributes. Okay, let's try it again. Time average, frames 40. Clear cache again and play back. Yeah, and now it's working. So as you can see, it removed the snow pretty good. But if you compare that to original like colors, you can see that we lose a little bit of contrast. So for this specific shots, I won't stick with time average. I probably would stick just with the time echo. Let's turn it back again. Yeah, this is what we wanted. I remind you that our shot is already stabilized and we can save our frame as a file. So composition, save frame as file. Yep, I'm looking at the chat, seeing that you have wrote something. Okay, I would save my file. Again, as a PNG, I prefer to work with the PNGs instead of JPEGs because they are much better in quality. Again, save. And render. So yeah, you can compare the version with and without the snow. All right, now I can again get rid of the time echo effect, and we should make our pre-comp with the snow only. Before that, I would just duplicate my clean plate, and the rest of the two I would put inside the pre-comp. So inside the pre-comp, I'm again saying the difference, the blending mode difference. And here we only have our snow. Pretty impressive, right? All right. So inside main composition, the layer that is snow only, let me rename our layers accordingly, snow only. I should set the blending mode back to the screen. So our image is now divided for the layer below, that is without snow, and the layer above. And in the middle, we can like put literally any image that we want. So let's just find something that I had prepared. Where is it? Okay, let's just stick with this one. So you can see how good actually this technique's really working. So I would search for corner pin. Just position an image in between this window. And now I would put them in a layer above. And magically, the image is covered with the snow. And of course, like now it is popping out a bit, so I should apply maybe like tint effect to comp it better with the scene. So I would pick my whites to the sky and pick my darkest color. Let's find the darkest color in the scene. somewhere around here, I believe. And set its amount to like somewhere around 50, I guess. Yeah, this is with and without the tint. And also I want to add a little bit of blur. Thank you, Frosty, Mr. Bean Man. Yeah, I'm constantly looking at the chat, so if you have any questions, like, I will try to answer them as best as I can during this live. Apologies. Okay, so before applying the blur, I actually should pre-comp it again to make the blur work correctly. Like, move all attributes, yes. And now my blur is working correctly. Like, the reason why I don't usually work in After Effects is that you quickly have like a lot of pre-comps and pre-comps, and it's really easy to get messy. So my main work tool is Nuke now. And the good part that Boris FX plugins works like independently in After Effects and inside DaVinci Resolve, inside Nuke, so you can choose any host that you want, and the same techniques would be applied in any software. It's just a matter of choice. Okay, I think we are done with this one. So this was just to demonstrate how the techniques really works great. Like, if you would just place the same insert above the snow, it would be obvious that this is not how it should look if it was filmed in a real camera in real world. So yeah, always put your inserts in between two flat layers. Okay, let's switch to another example. I would switch my composition. So as I said previously, these techniques only working when your camera is static. And if I play back this footage, you can think that, well, the camera is static. That means that we can apply our Sapphire average right from the beginning. And the answer would be no, because in case I want to add like a logo on some of these cars, that will mean that I need to stabilize only the car. Because if I would apply, let's just show that to you, Sapphire average again. Yeah, I didn't remember to clear my cache. I have a hotkey for that on my Wacom tablet. Yeah, let's say average, okay, 40, and play back. Like, you see that the snow actually disappeared, but also my car disappeared, and I didn't want that because I wanted to place a logo on one of these cars. Yeah, it might be good for some trippy effects, but that's not what we want right now. I would delete it for a moment. Maybe time echo will work. Let's check that out. The echo is default After Effects effect, but I don't really use it for this technique because it will leave some kind of trails after the cars. Look, this is when my number's echo is set to 1, but if I set it like 10, yeah, that's also not what we wanted. Okay, so how would we actually do that? So let's first choose a car that I want to place a logo on. I was thinking maybe about this blue one and about this truck, but I already did the truck in one of my recent tutorials, so I think we should probably stick with this one, specifically because the particles are much more visible on the darker backgrounds instead of like the lighter one. If you would see at the sky, you almost can't see any of them. So it only appears when the particles overcrosses the dark object. Okay, I already have my Mocha. And let's jump in it. I would reset it to default and launch it. All right, we're already on the needed frame. I would draw a simple shape around this car. Turn my surface tool and track as I usually would. No, perhaps I would make my surface a little bit bigger, just to make sure that we don't lose the shape, because car is moving pretty fast. Let's try it again. Should be okay. Yeah, as long as I can see the car, I would track it, and here I would probably stop. Let's now track it back forwards. I'm doing it frame by frame just to check whether my surface is sticking good. And it looks like it is. Let's finish that one. So yeah, whenever part of my car is going out of frame, I would probably stick to translation only to prevent some stretching that I don't really want. Yeah, I think that should work fine. Okay, now I would choose my reference frame. Perhaps 76 works great. So yeah, I would now expand my surface, export the track, invert, copy, close Mocha. Would duplicate my layer and apply a corner pin. Something weird has just happened. Yeah, let me double check that inside Mocha. Should be fine. Yeah, let's try that. Create our tracking data not inside the plugin, but using these settings like create track data, layer 2, invert, choose the needed layer, and apply. Yeah, now it's work as it's expected. So we would try to reduce the snow on this car. Perhaps I would cut the beginning. I'm not sure if I should leave it. Let's just try pre-comp all of this beautiness and search for average. Clear cache and switch my playhead to the first frame. Set it something maybe like 20 and play back. Yeah, probably should get rid of the first black frames and start somewhere here. Pre-comp again. It looks like we don't have enough information to restore that pixels. Okay, let me try another go. I would do the same stabilize, but I would get rid of the extra background that we don't really need. I would retrack it. So I would reduce my surface tool to source. No, 16:9. So to make sure that it covers only the car. All right. Get rid of this one and create new track data. Create, apply. Hmm. I mean, I still want to try to reduce the snow on this specific shot. I would try to stabilize it a little bit differently that I did it first time. So let's just see like the best what we can do, because you see that we only have like maybe 10 frames where our car is actually in the shot, and it might be not enough to actually recover that original surface with the pixels without the snow. But let's just keep trying. Give it another go. Okay, this will be my last try. Echo. Oh, we actually started to get something that we can take for our work, I guess. That was echo. Let's try average. Now, unfortunately, for the average, it doesn't have enough frames to restore. So I probably would have to stick with the echo, or maybe we should just choose another car that stays a bit longer in our frame. So I have another example that should work the same. Let me find it in my projects. So yeah, this one. So it mostly looked the same, but train or a bus, what is it? moves a bit slower, so we should have enough frames to actually restore the original texture. So Mocha, apply Mocha. I would make my surface really big. I would want to place some advertisement in the middle. So I'm mostly interested in tracking this area and stabilizing around it. So as you can see, Mocha is pretty clever to ignore the distractions and track pretty well. Whenever it goes out of frame, I would stick translation only. Now track forwards, sorry. Oops, I needed to track that with the shear on. Let's double track this part. So shear on, track forwards. And at the end, I would switch to translation only again to prevent the stretching. Do it almost by frame. Whoops, it has been slipped. You see that? Maybe because this big snowflake, and because we already lose like the biggest part of our tracking area, maybe it is big enough to interrupt Mocha, so I would make my surface bigger again and track frame by frame again. Okay, my region of interest left my frame, so I don't need to track the full bus. Maybe I will just retract the beginning, make the surface bigger, track it backwards. Yeah, this one should be good to go. So let's choose our main frame. I believe like 140 should be fine. Export track, invert. I get a bit lost in my own project, trying to find the stabilized precomp. I would close all of the rest that I don't need anymore. Well, honestly, I wanted to show you a bit more than that, but it's feels like this type of soft presentation actually takes much more longer time that it might feel at the first time. So in case I won't have much time today, I would make a tutorial to cover that in more details. Yeah, last minute checks. Let me restore my one of my oldest composition, because yeah, I didn't expect that the car shot wouldn't work, honestly. But the train shot, because I did that. Yeah, let me find the frame. It either found something with caching, I don't know, because honestly, I did the same kind of technique right before. I even have this shot been rendered. Like, this is what I was able to get. But for some reason, all of my corners pin get masked. Let's try double check the composition settings. Okay, 1441. Oh, Mocha. Okay, my last try. Okay, create track. I would try to turn off the invert. Maybe this is the problem. Create the, select the corresponding layer. Well, yeah, look like this one actually started to work. I would copy my corner pin, put that inside the pre-comp. Apply corner pin again, but then uncheck the unstretch. And yeah, now it finally aligns with my background layer. So, inside the middle pre-comp, let's find again sapphire average. Let's try something like 20. Now I would need to pre-comp it again. Pre-comp, move, 20, clear cache. Yeah, a lot of just repeating steps that I wish I could avoid. Yeah, and now it's finally working. Okay, 20 works pretty fine, but let's try 40. Maybe it would reduce the snow even more. Kinda looks the same, but enough for our tasks. So let me choose the frame that I want to save. 138. Save frame as file. PNG. I would call that train, even that is not train. Great. I would import my frame back again. And I can get rid of the... Well, I would just turn it off. Just leave it just in case. Okay, now I would turn my magic difference mode back again. And we are getting something that is looking really weird, but it actually should work. You may even see that our snow became green color for some reason, but that's probably because the compression of the free stock footages. So what I did, I actually just search hue saturation effect and apply that and turn the saturation. I would put that in another pre-comp and apply my saturation like to -100. So yeah, this is our snow that we are gonna be using. All right. So this is my main comp, and I would just make a mask to just isolate the area that I wanted to my logo to be. Let's check if that follows my train accordingly. Yeah, it looks like everything works fine, so I can jump in the inside composition and add what I wanted in the middle between the snow and between the train. So I had prepared another banner, this one. Scale it a bit. I would turn my snow off for a moment. Search for corner pin. Try realign it just by eye. I could do that with Mocha's corner pin, but I see that we don't have much time for that. Mm. Okay, so perspective looks fine for me. Maybe I would add a little bit of blur. I don't know how many precomps I have been created today because it looks like a Russian doll. Yeah, so I have my blurred logo on the train, and I would turn my snow layer back and again. And in case it feels like this is not intense enough, I can just duplicate the snow layer and it will become much more visible. So in my main precomp, you can see that colors are a bit off, and that's again because of the averageness of the brightness. So I would just feather my mask a bit more. To kind of make it less noticeable. Let's try to play it back. Well, yeah, things are working. So maybe I would just fix a little bit of color in the beginning. So I would search for either curves or levels, probably curves. I would make a keyframe in the middle where I'm satisfied with the colors. Then I would go backwards where it is a bit brighter than I wanted, and I would push my curve slightly lower. So here's the before and after. It's much more better with curves. Let's play it back. So it's a bit hard for After Effects to calculate all of these pre-comps at once, but here's what we can do with a little bit of time and patience. Oof, I hope I actually had one more shot prepared. Let me just demo that for you. At least what I wanted to show. I'm looking for it. Yeah, the cafe. So I had my main idea for this video that you see that lovely couple and they are holding like coffee cups, and I thought because it's Valentine's Day, why don't you replace this ugly window with some beautiful entrance of the coffee shop or the restaurant? And I did that, but I think that now this is probably gonna be a topic for another tutorial, because let me just play back what I had originally and what I was able to do with applying. And without that, without the snow, it would look off. So now I turn it off the snow, and let's just have a look at it. So yeah, now it's completely looking that something is off. Let me turn it back. Like, it might be looking really weird inside of these precomps, but the general result, I think it worth the time, and it worth the time to practice with this technique and to actually understand how it works. Unfortunately, as you saw, that there is some limitation to that technique, like your camera should be stable, or you need to stable your footage in order it to work. So it is not ultimate solution, but it can help you in like many situations with the rain, snow, dust, fountains, such kind of stuff. Yeah, I think we're running out of time. Thanks for being with me for this hour. I hope I was able to explain the technique, at least that you can follow this at your own time. And see you in the next hours.